Today's show is action-packed, so buckle up and let's dive into it.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Well, here we are, folks, and I've got nothing but satire and nothing but truth. Only satire isn't always funny, is it? Food shortages, we've been talking about the need to have long-term food storage, emergency food storage to battle inflation, food storage as an investment, the need to have food on hand in case of emergency, supply interruptions. How many different ways have you and I talked about it? We know, folks. We know. But is it going to be just shortages, or will there be HTF, starvation? Well, they're going to push it. They're going to push things in Ukraine further and farther than any of us ever imagined. Because we're not evil, folks. We're good, hardworking, honest, tax-paying, law-abiding, flag-waving Americans. And we don't think like evil bastards. Well, Ukraine says Russia is stealing grain, which could worsen the food crisis. Oh, really? If Russia is stealing grain, then yeah, that will make things worse in Ukraine and everywhere. Now, Ukraine is one of the world's largest grain exporters. And it has seen its grain industry affected by the Russian war and the blockade of the seaports, right? This is what happens in war, right? Ukraine relied upon this transportation out of the country, right, to help feed the world, which is what they do. They are a huge grain exporter. Sorry about that. Huge grain exporter. More than 90% of the farmland in Luhansk, Ukraine, is concentrated in the northern part of the region, which Russian forces have taken over since February, according to a Yahoo news article. Right? The Russians, they're claiming, have removed or destroyed grain. Now, see, they have massive grain silos, massive grain storage. And supposedly this storage would not only help in their exportation, but meet their needs for 3 years for, them to eat food. These are huge allegations against the Russians, folks. If confirmed, the alleged grain seizures by the Russian military and attacks targeting grain facilities, right, are going to fuel the screams and cries for war crimes and genocide and ethnic cleansing. It's going to up the ante. It's going to give the United Nations and NATO and everybody this big opportunity to claim Russia is killing people and going to starve the world. See where this is going? Right? And then on top of this, Ukraine officials allege Russia is trying to cause a famine. Right? They've drawn parallels to the Holodomor, which is the famine caused by Joseph Stalin, the Soviet communist dictator. Now, you would note that in the Yahoo article, they don't call him a communist. They just call him a dictator. I'm surprised they even called him Soviet instead of just saying Russian. Anyways, 4 million people in the Holodomor were killed in 1932 and 1933, right? Mostly farmers, mostly rural residents. And that's a lot of farmers and residents. Back then, of course, they were a little more tightly packed still, right? In this region of the world, there's a lot of fear of that happening again. There's a lot of people that have long memories. People were alive back then, folks, and they're alive today. Even if they were young children, they'll remember that. So just by invoking Holodomor, it causes a problem, folks. Now, the Luhansk governor said of Putin and Russia, the goal is the Holodomor, because there was a grain elevator bombing in Rubinzand. I can't say the name properly, so forgive me. Now, here's where I look at this as a prepper. Can we trust the Ukraine people? The answer, in my opinion, is yes. Can we trust Ukraine politicians? The answer is a resounding no. They have been in the pockets of European and American globalist leaders. They have been in the pockets of the CIA. They're the puppets of oligarchs, the Ukraine leadership. The people, sadly, are being screwed over, and there's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing they can do about it. This is out of our hands at this point. The question is, how badly do they need to win? And are they willing to sacrifice? Well, let's see, what have they sacrificed? The truth. Right off the bat. We could handle the truth, but they can't. They always hide, they always lie. And I'm talking about the politicians. I'm talking about NATO. I'm talking about the EU. I'm talking about the US power structure. I'm talking about the mainstream media. Right? They have a goal, and the goal is not for you and I to be more free and to have prosperity and for America to be great and for Russia to be great and for the world to be great. That's not their goal. Their goal is control, domination, and their security in their wealth. That is their goal. As for the country of the United States and NATO, their goal is military dominance and supremacy so they can carry out further policy changes. They have goals, folks. They have agendas. And you and me and the world eating is not it. If the rest of the world is going to see serious grain shortages because, one, Russia is not going to export to anyone that is unfriendly, and Ukraine is going to be severely handicapped because of what Voldemort Zelensky is doing. Here's my thing. I know what Putin is doing. He's engaged in trying to get rid of the Zelensky regime and make Ukraine behave like a country, not like a vassal state to a bunch of oligarchs. That's his goal. I'm certain of that, even though I'm not Russian and I'm not an insider with Putin or anything like that. Right? Because nothing happened until they tried taking that away, until they tried moving NATO in. So I put this at the feet of the United Nations. I put this at the feet of NATO. I put this at the feet of Boris Johnson. I put this at the feet of the United States government in Washington, D.C. I don't lay this at the feet of the people anywhere. Oh, did I forget the European Union, which also has its own designs? That's where the starvation lies. Putin has a part in this, folks. Right? He's defending his country. And so, yeah, these bad things could be happening. But I don't believe Putin is stealing the grain, blowing it up. I believe that they meaning the Ukraine military, the Zelensky regime, I believe they would be willing to blow up something that looks like a food supply storehouse, a silo, etc. Blow it up. I believe they would blow it up in order to give the cameras something to see. I believe they would steal the grain from the people, the country of Ukraine, the government of Ukraine, the regime, steal the grain and then blame the Russians and film empty silos and empty warehouses. Because just like our government in DC, the Zelensky government thinks it is the number one thing in Ukraine. It's without the government at the very top, the rest of the country can go to hell. So there's a problem with governments that are all about continuity of government and all of their executive orders, and government must come first. They're going to steal everything for themselves first. That's how all governments think, folks. They don't love us. They don't care about us. All they care about is their power. and their wealth. Food shortages, Joe Biden, Xi himself, El Presidente, he has said there's going to be food shortages. I didn't take him as a liar at that point. That was a flat out warning. Get ready, get prepared. Do you have 2 months, 3 months? Do you have 6 months worth of food? Do you have a year's worth of food? It doesn't have to be the greatest food. It doesn't have to be the most delicious. It just has to be food, palatable, and of course have different menu options. Beans, rice, vegetables, everything you can get that's storable, and then rotated in and out, right? As you buy more food, you put it in the back and you eat the food in the front. Food is now an investment. Food is an insurance policy. Food is security. Food is peace of mind, so it's psychological. Food is everything, right? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. You can't live without food and water. Help your family, help your friends, help your coworkers. Tell them to get prepared. Tell them to watch this video. This is not just happening this week. This has been happening for decades. Building up, leading up, getting to execution to this place in history where we're at now. This is what they are doing to us. And we need to be prepared for the consequences of their decisions. Because chance favors the prepared mind is yours. Godspeed, Semper Fi.